Hello everyone, Jennifer Maker here. Today we're going to make beautiful engraved leather bookmarks with our Cricut cutting machines. Yes, we are. Now you may be surprised that Cricuts can handle leather, but these machines never stop amazing me. I'll show you the best ways to prepare leather for successful cuts and a few tricks to create the results that you like. Let's go over to my craft table so I can show you everything you need for this fun project. So to engrave leather with your Cricut, all you really need are time and the right tools. Plus, you'll need some leather, right? But the kind of leather that you use matters. I chose this vegetable tanned leather and it works really nicely. However, since leather is a natural material, it's not always the same thickness. I'll show you some of my experiments at the end and describe how to make sure that you have the right leather. The most important part is to make sure that it will fit under the roller on your Cricut cutting machine. Now, to engrave your leather, you can use either a Cricut Explorer or a Cricut Maker. If you're using a Cricut Maker 3 or the original Maker, you can use the engraving tool, but otherwise a deep cut blade will work for both the Maker and Explorer machines. And we can make deeper indentations using the foil transfer tool with the medium tip on either the Explorer or the Maker. That's right, just because the tool has foil in the name doesn't mean you can't use it for other techniques. Now, I found that cutting leather with a Cricut cutting machine works much better if you dampen it beforehand with a sponge. So be sure to have a bowl of water handy. And I suggest a green standard grip machine mat like I have here, along with some standard grip transfer tape while working with the leather. This makes a difference. And I also recommend leather stain. The bookmarks are pretty just cut out, as you can see here, but adding leather stain really makes them extra special. I used acorn brown on some of the bookmarks and cherry red on others. There are lots of stain colors to choose from. Just make sure that your choice will look good on natural leather. You'll definitely want some disposable gloves, eye protection, butcher paper, and these little wool daubers here to add the stain with minimal mess. They're also helpful for the optional leather finish if you decide to use that. And just like any other time you're working with stain or a similar product, please open a window to help with ventilation. Remember, safety first. We'll use several of our usual tools, but a true control knife, ruler, and self-healing mat will make cutting the leather to size a breeze. Now, I know you might want to skip right to the cutting and assembly part of the tutorial, but the design space steps are really important for this project, so don't just wing it. I'm going to show you a few design space tricks to use our tools in unconventional ways, and you won't get the same results without the same steps. And I'll show you how to customize all of these designs here as well. So let's get started. Step 1, get my free leather engraving designs. Go to jennifermaker.com/400 and look for libraries in the red bar at the top, and then either click Get a Password if you don't yet have one, or click Enter the Library. You can find the designs on the page by searching for design number 400, and then click it to download a zip file with the SVG files for cutting on a Cricut or another cutting machine, DXF files, and a printable PDF for transferring by hand. Each file includes 5 different bookmark designs to choose from, including a customizable option with some hearts. Now I want to show you how to cut and engrave the SVG designs on a Cricut Maker 3. This is so cool. So first, upload the SVG cut file to Cricut Design Space. If you're unsure how to do this, go to jennifermaker.com/svgs to learn how to unzip and upload SVG cut files. Step 2, prepare and personalize the designs. This is what my engraved leather bookmark SVG file looks like when it's uploaded to Cricut Design Space. First, we need to pick our designs and change some layer operations. Click Ungroup above the Layers panel to work with the bookmarks separately. If there are bookmarks that you don't want to make, select them and click Delete. I want to make Eat, Sleep, Read, Repeat, and the flower design, and the customizable heart design, so I delete the others. I left space on the Hearts bookmark to add a name. Let me show you how to do this. So first drag the bookmark to the side so you have some space. Then enter 90 in the rotate field in the top menu. It's easier to add text this way. Now click the text icon on the left side of your canvas and type the personalization, the name, the word, whatever that you want to use. I'm going to type Alexa, my daughter's name. Select the font that you'd like. I'll click on System at the top and then type Maker Pen Writing Font in the search window to locate it. And it's available for free in design number 129 in my resource library. Drag the name into place and check the layout. My name is a little too big for the open area on the bookmark, so I'll resize it by dragging on any corner of the bounding box just like this. When you're happy with the sizing, hold the Shift key down on your keyboard and select the name and the Hearts bookmark group in the Layers panel. Click Align at the top of the canvas and select Center horizontally. And then click Attach and regroup the design. Now, as I mentioned, we're going to use the foil transfer tool to compress the leather and then the engraving or deep cut tool to make shallow cuts following the same lines. This takes a few workarounds, so follow along as carefully as you can. Currently, the best way to do this is by duplicating and perfectly aligning copies of the design using different operations. For each item, we need 2 basic cut layers for the bookmark shape, 4 foil layers for the foil transfer tool, and 1 engraving layer for the engraving tool. Skip the engraving layer if you don't have that tool. Select a bookmark and click on Group, so the layers are separate. Click the bookmark shape in the Layers panel and click Duplicate. Design Space might place the new copy elsewhere on your canvas. If it does, you can duplicate by holding down the Option or Alt key on your keyboard and then clicking and dragging a bookmark. It is super easy. Hold the Shift key on your keyboard and select both bookmark shapes in the Layers panel. Then click Align and Center. Now click Group at the top of the Layers panel to hold them together on your canvas. We'll leave these as basic cuts since we need to create the shape with a blade. Since the leather is pretty thick, 2 passes will help here. Next, select that group of layers and then click Arrange and Send to Back so you can see the design itself. Select the layer with the design elements for the same bookmark. If you're working on a Maker or Maker 3 with an engraving tool, duplicate the design 4 times, which is what I'll do. If you don't have a Maker or the engraving tool, only duplicate the design 3 times. Again, Design Space may spread out the copies. Hold down the Shift key and click on each copy in the Layers panel, then click Align and Center to stack them. Now we'll adjust the operation for each layer. If you're using an engraving tool, click the top layer design in the Layers panel. Click on the Operation menu and select Engrave. Then hold Shift and select the other 4 design layers, or all 4 if you're not using the engraving tool. Click the Operation menu, then Foil, and select Medium. Now let's put the bookmark back together. Select all of the bookmark's design layers and click Attach. Then drag them back over the rectangular cut layer. Select both the rectangle and design layers. Then click Align and Center horizontally. The design should be centered over the bookmark. If you're happy with the placement, click Attach to keep the design and rectangle cut layers together. If not, adjust the placement and then attach them. Repeat these steps for each of the bookmarks that you're going to make. If you're making more than 1 bookmark, placing them close together will save material when it comes time to cut. Click and drag your design so there's about a 1/4 inch between them. Then select all, click Align and Center vertically to make sure they all line up. Select the Align menu again and click Distribute horizontally to space them out evenly. Check the total height and width of all of the designs together in the top menu size fields. Write down the dimensions so you can cut the correct size of leather. Make sure the right machine is selected in the top corner and click Make It. Step 3, prepare your leather. Now gather your measurement notes, leather, ruler, pencil, scissors, self-healing mat, true control knife, transfer tape, machine mat, and a damp but not dripping sponge. Place the leather fuzzy side up on your self-healing mat. Use the ruler and pencil to draw a rectangle approximately 1 inch taller and wider than the bookmark group's dimensions that you recorded from Design Space. Use your ruler and the True Control knife to cut along the lines. You might have to cut a couple times to get all the way through. Cut a piece of standard grip transfer tape slightly larger than the piece of leather. Remove the transfer tape backing. Then place the transfer tape sticky side down on the fuzzy side of the leather, keeping it centered. Use your scraper tool to adhere the transfer tape to the leather. Since the leather is thicker than most materials and we don't want the transfer tape to stick to the rollers, don't place the material right in the corner on your machine mat. If there's enough space, place the leather with its top left corner 2 inches in from the left and 2 inches down from the top. Make sure the leather lines up with the straight lines. The transfer tape will keep leather bits from sticking to your mat. Now we need to dampen the leather to help it cut easier. This is important, so don't skip it. Gently wipe the damp sponge across the leather up and down and side to side. Re-wet the sponge as needed. The leather will get darker, which is a sign that it's working. Once you've dampened the entire piece of leather, let it sit for at least 15 minutes before the next step. Step 4. Cut your engraved leather bookmarks. Now back in Cricut Design Space, make sure your designs look right. If not, click Cancel and repeat the steps that I showed you earlier. Remember, we placed our leather in from the corner of the mat, so we need to move our designs to match the placement of the leather. Using the grids for reference, drag the designs into position. When you're comfortable with the placement, click Continue in the lower right corner. I found a few material and cut settings that work really well for this project. On the Make screen, click Browse All Materials. You will notice the list is shorter than usual, and leather is not an option. That's because Design Space doesn't think our operations are compatible with leather. You don't always have to use the program settings for the indicated material, however. After some experimenting, I found that using the craft board setting works really well. Select it and click Done in the lower right corner. Now select More from the Pressure drop-down menu. Then click Edit Tools and select the Deep Point blade and click Apply. On your machine, push your white star wheels to the side so that they don't roll over your leather. Check your leather's dampness. If any spots still seem wet, let it dry a bit longer. If your transfer tape goes beyond the mat's adhesive area, place painter's tape on the edges to keep it from sticking to the machine's gray rollers. Depending on the machine and tools you're using, follow the screen prompts to add your tools in the right order. Press the flashing arrows to load your machine mat and then press the middle flashing button to begin the project. Once the first operation is done, do not unload your machine mat. Follow the prompts to change your tools as necessary and press the flashing button again to complete the steps. This is very important. You do not want to remove your mat in between these steps. When your Cricut is done with the project, press the flashing arrows to unload your machine mat and admire your handiwork. Remove the tape from the mat and gently pull the bookmarks off of the transfer tape. If you find that a bookmark shape or top circle didn't cut all the way through, use the Cricut True Control knife to finish the cut on your self-healing mat. Now, although you may not be able to see any moisture, the leather will still be damp. It is best to allow the bookmarks to sit overnight before moving on to the next step. Step 5. Stain your leather bookmarks. Now this stain is messy, so protect your work area with some butcher paper and have some paper towels handy. I also recommend you wear disposable gloves, eye protection, and crack a window for ventilation too. Remember, safety first. Place your bookmarks face up on the butcher paper. Shake the leather stain of your choice and dip a wool dauber into the bottle. Apply the stain with circular motions to the bookmark's front. When the whole front of the bookmark is stained, let it sit for a few seconds. Then wipe it with a paper towel to remove any excess. Use the wool dauber to spread the stain over the edges and the back, and again wipe off any excess with a paper towel. The leather should soak up the stain pretty quickly, but you can smooth any smudges with the towel. Examine the bookmark for any missed or uneven areas, especially in the deeply engraved areas. If you're having trouble getting the stain in the crevices, like at the inside of the circle cutout, use a cotton swab. Again, wipe away any excess stain and allow your bookmarks to dry for several hours. I let mine dry overnight. My stain is also a finish, but since the bookmarks will be handled a lot, I'm adding an optional finish layer. So shake this finish bottle really well, then use a damp kitchen sponge to apply it all over the bookmarks. Again, allow the finish to completely dry overnight. Lastly, cut a piece of faux suede string about 7 inches long. Fold the string in half and insert the loop through the bookmark's hole. Push the loose ends through the loop end and pull tight to make your accent. Wouldn't the book lovers in your life just love these leather bookmarks? I love the depth and detail the different tools and the stain create. Here are some close-ups of the different styles so you can pick the results that you want. The top row are the bookmarks made on a Cricut Explorer using the deep cut blade and the foil transfer tool. And the bottom row are the bookmarks engraved with the Cricut Maker using the engraving tool and the foil transfer tool. Do you see the difference? You should pick the one that you like the best. Now, one really important thing when working with leather is that it is a natural material, and that means it's not as consistent as, say, vinyl or cardstock is, of course, right? And many listings for leather sell it by the weight without information on how thick it actually is. So when I was testing out different techniques, I found that 2 pieces of leather purchased at the same time were totally different thicknesses and didn't cut the same way. So this is significant, okay? The leather that I've linked in my tutorial is thinner and more consistent, but definitely check your material before starting the project. Most Cricut Explorer machines can handle materials up to 2 millimeters thick, while Cricut Makers can work up to 2.4 millimeters. You can measure the thickness by holding the edge next to a ruler, but just make sure it will go under the Cricut's roller bar. And now that you know how to customize the design, you can make personalized presents for everyone on your list this year. You are going to amaze everyone with your skills. Now, if you have any other questions about cutting and engraving leather with your Cricut cutting machine, anything at all that I can answer, please let me know. Leave your question below this video or ask us over in our awesome Cricut Crafters group at jennifermaker.com/CricutCrafters. And that's it for today. Until next time, this is Jennifer Maker reminding you to craft a life you love.